Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. I had a really good week.
A good week? Okay, I'm glad to hear about that. Well, I know I want to hear all about your good week, but I know last week we kind of spent a lot of time talking about the meeting and the weekend that you had with your mom and your sister. Dove into a little bit of your childhood and kind of growing up with your mom, what she was like pre and post the schizophrenia diagnosis. So that was all very helpful for me to hear. And we can definitely continue to talk about that. But first, I know we like to kind of start every week. I just want to hear how this past week has been for you.
Yeah, so I think I forgot to tell you actually last session, but this past weekend I went to California with my boyfriend and his family. So we went to Sonoma, and I've only spent a couple times with his parents, like a couple dinners. We haven't spent like really long extended periods of time together. And so it was his mom, his dad, his sister, his brother-in-law, and then their kid, so his nephew. And it was really, really nice. Like I felt really good afterwards, and his parents were just so welcoming to me, and like we had this dinner where we all went out and talked about like our highlights of the trip, and I don't know, it felt really welcome. They felt really welcoming to me, and I felt like I was a part of their family. And his mom kept making sure that I was doing everything I wanted to do in Sonoma and sightseeing all the places I wanted to see, even though she'd already been there. And his dad was joking around with me a lot, which I just wasn't that used to. And yeah, it was really refreshing, and I feel like coming home, I like didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay there. It was, first of all, it was nice weather, which was also really nice, but yeah, it was nice to be around his family and feel so a part of it.
I can see it in your face. You seem almost refreshed.
Definitely.
So it sounds like you connected really well with his family.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It was not what I was expecting, but it was really nice.
That's amazing. It sounds, like I said, like a refreshing kind of getaway that hopefully left you coming back feeling ready to kind of take on the week.
Definitely helped.
That's awesome. Well, I think that everyone kind of needs that reset every once in a while.
Yes.
So that's amazing that you had such a good vacation.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and my boyfriend too had a really good time, and he said his parents were like raving about me afterwards and really liked me. So it's nice to feel liked and approved of, and he definitely was excited after the fact, just being his first big trip we've gone with his family. So it felt really reassuring and kind of empowering afterwards, just like knowing that my boyfriend really appreciated me being there, and his parents really appreciated me. So yeah,
that's wonderful. And I know that your boyfriend has been a very strong support system for you. So this just seems like it kind of validated that.
Yeah, it definitely validated that, and I feel like we needed it too. You know, I've been anxious lately and had a rough week last week following like what we talked about last session, following the trip to see my mom, and so it felt really nice to kind of get away with him and his family, and you know, his family's so I don't want to say normal, but you know, they're just his mom and his dad, and they love him so much, and for me to be a part of that was really special. And so I definitely think it brought my boyfriend and I closer.
You said that they're really normal. So what do you mean by that?
I guess that's a good point. Just, yeah, my family's so complicated. I know I've talk to you about. Normal is probably not the best word I should use, but to me, it seems true. Like, my mom, schizophrenia, leaving, and then my dad getting remarried to his wife, and she has kids, and so I have like step siblings, and I don't know, it's just more complicated in my family. My dad's a lot older than his dad, a lot older, and so it just felt, I guess the word to me was normal, like what majority of people experience. I don't know.
Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from when you say that, but your experience is different,
right,
from your boyfriend's experience,
right.
And different experiences can be refreshing no matter what. So I can imagine how this week was probably really good and exciting for you.
It was really exciting. Like I said, I did not want to come home.
I can imagine. So, and I know last time we connected, you were kind of, the meeting with your mom brought on a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
Then you went on this vacation, which sounds like a great reset, a nice refresh. So what did you feel like going back into your normal life following the vacation?
So I felt good, but coming home, it was kind of like back to reality. And I've been, I know I haven't talked about this recently, but I've been getting really discouraged with work. It's just, I'm in this director position that I've worked my way into for years, and have now been in that position for years. And I just don't feel like I'm getting the adequate responsibilities I should be getting, if I'm phrasing this right. I feel like a lot of what's passed on to me to do is more minute, smaller things like busy work, and like I have the capacity to make good decisions and to be a really integral part of the team at the restaurant, and sometimes I just don't necessarily feel appreciated in that sense. And so just lately I've been feeling kind of frustrated with work. A while back I'd asked for a raise, and they kind of told me that wasn't necessarily appropriate. And so I shook that off for a while, but I do a lot of this busy work, in a sense, and I do feel like I should be making more, and I'm not, and I don't feel like my bosses really care that I'm concerned about that. Like, it's on the bottom of their list of things to do. So I don't know. I haven't been feeling appreciated at work, which has been frustrating. And it's been a long time coming, and I've had other things to worry about, like the past couple weeks. So that's been a little frustrating, coming back to work and realizing that the level of appreciation that's not necessarily given to me when I have worked there so long, and I am such a big asset to the team. And then obviously after everything with my mom, I don't know, I've been feeling kind of weird this week. I know after visiting her, I said it was pretty overwhelming, and I think that feeling has kind of continued. I'm still overwhelmed with thoughts around my mom and kind of what exactly I want to do. And I know I don't necessarily need to make a decision, but it's like a mixture of feeling guilt because I want to talk to her, or I feel like I need to talk to her, and kind of feeling the need to push back a little bit and slow down. And I feel like that feeling of like needing to slow down and like slow down this process of reconnecting more is kind of winning right now, because I'm leaning away from wanting to talk to her. And obviously she's reached out a few times this week and we've spoken, but I've kind of kept the conversation short, and yeah, just diving back into all of that, and her connecting with me frequently just feels really rushed, and I don't know if I'm ready necessarily.
Let's go back really quickly. We can just go back to talking about work. So one thing that I heard that is just great to hear is, you're a big asset to the team. You talk about how much you're contributing. So it's amazing that you're able to point that out, to understand that, to believe it. I can see that you believe that.
Yeah, no.
And I'm just curious to know what that's like for you working on a team where you feel like you're pulling so much weight, and being, I think you said, underappreciated.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm the team is all guys except for me, and it's frustrating. I've been there since the start of the restaurant. Like, I have grown with the company. I've grown with the rest of the team, and they've received the adequate raises that they should receive, and the appreciation they should receive, and also the right responsibilities. Like I said, I feel like I'm getting handed more minor responsibilities, kind of because somebody needs to do them, and for some reason they're being pushed to me. So I feel frustrated, and I feel upset that nobody's appreciating the work that I am doing. It's upsetting to me, and I think for a little bit I was trying to push that off and just keep chugging through work, and like, it'll be fine, but I'm getting to the point where I'm just really down about it, and frustrated that nobody's giving me the recognition necessarily that I feel like I deserve. So.
I'm curious because when we first started seeing each other, I remember that work for you was filled with pressure, and that was kind of what induced some of that anxiety. So has that changed? Are your more minor tasks less anxiety-inducing, just frustrating at this point, or how would you describe that?
So I think a little bit has been our counseling. Like, some of my anxiety at work, I think, has minimized a little bit. And just in those social interactions I was telling you about, like the social events and networking things I have to work at, I'm thinking a little more clearly during them. So it hasn't been so overwhelming. And so without that being so overwhelming at work, I feel like I'm bringing back into focus the part of work that had been frustrating before my anxiety kind of took place, which was just this this feeling of being underappreciated, which is, I mean, I guess in a way, now that kind of thinking about how I was talking about work before, it's kind of nice to think that my anxiety has subsided at work a little bit, and I can't even think about this, but it's also discouraging to be feeling like still to this point I'm underappreciated there, but at least I am functioning.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. I'm glad that some of that anxiety is going away, because I know that can be very scary.
Yeah.
It was very scary for
it
you.
Was,
were you, and I know you mentioned there was a point before the anxiety got very bad, about a year ago, I think you said. Were you feeling underappreciated at that point? Are you noticing a pattern?
Yeah, I definitely was. I definitely was feeling underappreciated, and then anxiety started. I also started dating my boyfriend shortly after, and so I think there were things going on that kind of took that out of, like, the center of attention in my life, and so I hadn't really focused on it in a while, because I was just trying to get through the day at work, like literally trying to get through the next meeting, through the next assignment, and then get home. But yes, it was a big part of, it was something that I did focus on a lot before the anxiety symptoms kind of started.
Yeah. So in an ideal world, how do you see that situation changing? Now that we've gotten at least a hold of the anxiety, now we've found a little bit of a new task to deal with. So how do you see that ideally playing itself out?
So before I started getting anxiety really badly, I would think about, what something's got to change. But I don't see my team necessarily being able to ever give me, the recognition or appreciation that I'm seeking or deserve. And I think that thought kind of scares me because I feel like that leaves me with the other option, which is to leave, which gives me pretty overwhelming. It's not necessarily anxiety, but fear. I've been just at this job for so long that it's all I really know. I know the people I work with. They're friends of mine. We're kind of like a family. We've been there since it started. My brother is the owner, so he actually is family. So thinking about that scares me a little bit because that leaves me with the option pretty much to leave, and that's a scary thing to think about.
So I heard you say earlier that you've tried asking for a raise. That didn't work. Have you tried anything else that has or hasn't seemed to make the situation better?
Yeah, so I've reached out to my direct boss a few times just to connect with him, and I wanted to, we're pretty open. Like I said, I've been working there for a long time. A lot of times, a lot of my relationships with these people are like family, and so I don't hesitate to tell them how I feel. And I've reached out to my boss, and it's like he can't give me the time of day. If that's what it feels like, he'll respond, days later that we'll try to fit something in at some point. It's not a priority to them, and I feel like they can put me on the back burner and not worry. Okay, we'll deal with her later. We'll deal, and it's just no, I'm feeling unsettled and I want to discuss it, and they keep kind of pushing me off. So I have tried to at least express some of my frustrations, and it's gone kind of unnoticed or not reciprocated. So it's frustrating.
Yeah. Have you thought of maybe anything else you could try? I know getting a whole new job sounds a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
Are there any other changes you could make at work?
I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, so the person who's in charge of HR, I am really good friends with her. She's almost like not a mother figure, but she's older, and I know she looks after me, and she knows that I've been frustrated. So I've connected with her a lot, and that does often help me feel better. As far as direct changes, I'm trying to straighten out the responsibilities, as I should be looking over some of the more major projects as opposed to some of these minor tasks. Like I said, it's not being really reciprocated, so I'm not really sure how to get their attention in a way that would allow for this to happen. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes absolute sense, and it, I think a lot of people would be frustrated in that situation. I can hear that you're a big asset to the team, and feeling underappreciated can be discouraging.
No, I definitely do feel like something's got to happen though, because I'm tired of feeling like this, and I'm definitely starting to resent it a little bit now that the anxiety's cleared up at work.
I'm very proud that you've, in such a short time, made that much of an improvement to at least being able to manage your
Yeah.
anxiety to the point where, I mean, like I said, now we're dealing with a little bit of a different issue, but
Yeah.
you've already begun conquering the very thing that you came in here about.
Yeah.
So that has to be, and it should be encouraging for you.
Yeah, no, the anxiety piece feels really a lot better. We're a lot more manageable.
And then I kind of interrupted you because I wanted to go back to the work piece, but let's talk for a minute about your mom.
Yeah.
Because I know we talked during our last session about last weekend, how it started off on a good foot, kind of ended on a little bit of a negative note.
Yeah.
Where are you at with that now?
So, yeah, like I said, I'm backtracking, I feel like a little bit. Experiencing it, like her in the flesh and being there and us being together was a good experience, but also, like I said, really overwhelming to me and hard to process in the moment. So I feel like I've been spending this week kind of slowing it down a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how to move forward right now.
And I guess thinking ideally, how do you see it moving forward?
So, I mean, if I had to picture something, ideally, I would love to reestablish a relationship with her. I guess it's just trying to figure out how I go about, talking with her again, seeing her in person. I think that's what I struggle with. What are the steps I need to take? I know talking to her is something I want to keep doing, whether even just on the phone at the start and then eventually go see her again. It's just kind of finding the right words to say in those moments. And when it's such an odd scenario.
It is a unique scenario that I don't think there is a right or wrong way to handle. But I am curious, when you've talked with your mom, have you guys discussed anything about what's happened in the past? I know that there was some history of some traumatic events dealing with her and the symptoms of schizophrenia. So have you explored that at all together?
So no, we didn't. I think that's part of what's really kind of weird. It's like that's a huge part of what happened in our relationship. Like she got sick and left and she's been gone for years, and now we're just like picking up and not really addressing anything that happened. And I guess it's kind of figuring out we have to talk about it at some point. So but no, we haven't yet.
Yeah, and I do think that that's important to kind of dive into. But I also heard you say a few minutes ago you're kind of feeling like this process is kind of rushing along a little bit. Like you want to pump the brakes a bit. Do you think a conversation like that is something that you could picture yourself having with her at some point?
Yeah, I do, just because I've been able to talk about my mom in the past to other people, and I know I could do it with her. I know we could have the conversation. We could begin talking about it. It's just scary thinking about actually doing it. But I know if I needed, I could do it.
Yeah. And what do you think you would want to say to her?
I feel like I would want to say, like, what I've said to you in the past, kind of, I understand that the biological symptoms and the biological way this disorder has affected you. I understand that. And I understand that there wasn't really anything you could do. And I forgive you. And, but it was hard having you leave for so long, and it's hard seeing you here now and knowing you missed so much of me growing up. and I would want to hear what she has to say to that, and then I'd also want to talk about. It's hard for me to pick up this relationship, after having so much time in between the last time we spoke, and now that you're sick with cancer, like she's going through her cancer treatments, I really want to be here for you. And so this is something I want to talk about so we can kind of fix our relationship.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
You started on a very positive foot. You've been, since we started seeing each other, understanding about your mom's condition. So I think that that's an awesome place to start. And I encourage you this week, and there's no rush in having that conversation, especially if you're already feeling like you want to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
But I encourage you this week and in the weeks coming to continue thinking about what you might want to say to her.
It felt good saying it in here too. I didn't know I had that in me, so
Good.
it felt good.
Good.
Yeah.
So maybe for next week, practice that a couple
Okay.
times, see what comes out and see what feels natural to
Okay.
you. And then we can revisit it when you feel like you're ready to kind of start talking about that again.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to
Great.
me. Yeah.
Well, we are wrapping up on time. Is there anything else that we didn't cover in today's session that you'd like to mention?
No, I think just I want to practice, obviously, kind of talking to my mom, and I would love to do it in here again sometime, maybe next week. And then, just continuing to talk about work and kind of moving forward with them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing you next week.
Me too.
Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Oh my God.
Did it not? Oh, it's still recording.